Hello, everybody, and welcome to Dimlits! Woo! They're not the brightest bulbs in the box.
Or brighter than the lamp. Have to get it in every time.
Yep, this is a podcast where we talk about Pixar movies because why not?
It's Pixar.
Yeah.
We love Pixar.
Yeah, we do.
Most of us.
Oh, yeah, so much. Today, for our third episode, we're talking about their first sequel, Toy Story 2. Came out in 1999. And boy, oh boy, is this a big hit, just like its predecessor.
Oh, man.
It even won the Golden Globe for Best Feature Musical or Comedy, not because the animation one didn't exist. Best Feature Musical or Comedy.
Yeah.
So it was up against live action movies.
They should have won for the Academy Awards, too, really.
It was only nominated for
I saw
the
that.
song.
I know.
We'll get to that later.
Yeah.
Which I think it lost to the song from Tarzan.
Oh, my God. That's
You'll
hard.
be in my heart.
Well, how do you even choose between those two? That's
I
hard.
don't know.
Choose anything over Phil Collins?
Like literally, both of those songs are fantastic.
There's a South Park song nominated too.
Oh, wow.
Blame Canada was also didn't they make fun of the Oscars for that because they lost to Phil Collins?
Yeah.
But anyway, Toy Story 2, their very first sequel, as I said, started the Toy Story franchise basically. Because you have the first movie, but it's once you start getting sequels and all the other stuff, that franchise really kicks off. But now they got 2 other movies in this, whole bunch of shorts, and of course its own spin-off movie and show in the Buzz Lightyear Star Command.
And such.
I was just gonna say the merchandising is its own thing, but I'm talking like the actual media franchise.
And don't forget,
started here.
not the crappy.
Video game or media franchise?
Oh, I didn't hear video game. Yeah.
Well, don't forget. Let's forget the crappy new Lightyear. Let's talk about that old Disney Channel Buzz Lightyear show and movie.
Oh.
Those were fantastic.
I said that.
I know, but I just want to say let's focus on those and not the new Lightyear.
Have you seen it?
I have
Oh, so you're making it. Have you seen it?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm not going to watch it twice.
Yeah, I'm just gonna watch it the once for this, and then I'll probably go good.
I did think you were talking about the new Lightyear, though. I forgot about the 2D thing.
Yeah. Oh, that show is fun.
All right.
And it's not on Disney Plus.
It's a little past my time, but
They need to put them in Disney Plus.
Yeah, that's what everyone's been saying
Oh my
for
God.
the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Not on there.
no, it's just business, Dickey.
Oh, you're very funny.
No one knows the context.
They don't care. Watch a couple of episodes back and you'll see
That
it.
wasn't even in the episode.
No, yeah, it was one. Oh.
That's good. There's no.
Oh, that wasn't it. That was before we even were rolling. Okay, never mind. That's a big inside joke then. Anyway, moving on.
Yes, I will say the opening part of Toy Story 2 with Buzz, in the video game, is more visually entertaining and fun than anything in the 2022 Lightyear movie. Like it, I don't even hate the new Lightyear movie. It's just
You're the only one of us that's seen the new Lightyear movie.
Yeah.
Did you say Zurg was a big robot now?
yeah.
How can you be Buzz's father if he's a
I'm
robot?
gonna just yell that out to everybody out there without a spoiler warning.
At this point, I don't think there's
Yes.
a human alive that has not seen this movie.
Yeah, that twist is just like I don't hate it, but I don't like it. It's just
You know,
The whole movie
they
is
just threw it in there for Star Wars. That was nothing other to it.
oh wait, it's not his father. Sorry.
Yes, that's what I said. Zurg is his father in Toy Story 2.
In Toy Story 2,
Yeah.
yeah.
Zurg is not his father
Okay,
in the
yeah.
movie that Andy watched.
Yes.
It's like which that whole thing. It's like that's a whole conversation.
That was
for
it.
another video.
We gotta.
But I was saying, like, the opening of this movie was always fun as a kid, and then Buzz
so
gets
much.
destroyed, and you see, like, his spine or something sticking up, whatever that was.
Was there a spine sticking up, or was it just like his hips?
Oh,
and
yeah.
It was like,
Was there a spine?
So
I don't know what it is, but it was like,
So,
oh my
when
god.
I thought the same thing. I was like, whoa, what the heck?
when I was watching it this time, I had forgotten that was a video game. And
Yeah.
I thought it was a movie that they were watching. I was like, huh. Pixar said that Lightyear is supposed to be the movie. This looks like the movie. This looks like a better movie.
What's
Oh,
going
it's a
on
video
there?
game.
Oh, yeah. And he just can't beat that level every time.
Yep, his little arms. He can't press the fire button and jump at the same time.
Hey, I know that struggle.
Little arms.
Well, can't push 2 buttons at once.
Oh my god.
I have trouble too. I'm just not very good at video games.
That's fair. Oh, you play Rocket League. Not that
I'm not
counts,
very good at video games.
How many hours have you sunk into the show now?
Into the show.
MLB the show.
I know. I'm thinking. It's about a week or two, and then I'm back on Rocket League.
Sir, you don't want to let your stats slip.
That's true. Yeah.
Anyway.
Toy Story 2. So yes, another example of a sequel that, at the very least, is as good as the original. It's debatable what is better because, for the longest time, everyone liked the first movie better, and then there's in the last decade or two, more people come around on the second one being better. And I've been moving closer to that camp, that thought, and then watching it. I watched it last night.
Oh, okay, so it's really, really fresh.
And I remember sitting there, I'm like, I really like this. I do. I love this. I love these first 2 movies. And I was thinking, this is going to be the watch that makes me like it more than the first one.
It did the opposite.
For you?
No.
Wait, no.
You do like it more now?
No.
Really?
It's about exactly where it was before.
Okay.
It's kind of like the How to Train Your Dragon, the first 2 there, where they're pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, it's just what I found. I was talking to Jake about this earlier today. A lot of the stuff into, comedy-wise, not the story, kind of is references to the first movie. Direct lines that they requote. They even have a couple of shots that are supposed to tell you, hey, remember we did this in the last movie. And it's not bad. None of it is bad. None of it is pandering.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I remember thinking, wow, there's a lot more of this movie that, winks at you saying, remember we did this before, reminding you of the first movie than I ever remember. And it was throwing me off a little bit because the story beats and the depth to the characters and the song are so good and exactly what you needed in a sequel. But I just kind of hung up on this one thing of a lot of this is kind of hinging on this being a second movie, which again isn't bad. It's just
I would say
it's kind of taking me out of it a little bit.
Interesting.
But it's a personal thing.
Yeah.
That's why when I put the 2 next to each other, I think the first one is just a tad bit.
Do you think that's just because the first one did it first?
I don't know.
I think it's because he thinks that you just said the second one should not have to rest on the laurels of the first one.
And I don't think it does, though.
No, story-wise, no. But
Yeah.
I'm saying that side of it is
But
there's
the
just
jokes are such a big part of what Pixar does. For me, I like Toy Story 2 better.
I am 1,000. I'm in the camp that I consider Toy Story 2 the best movie they've made. And I know I
can be convinced of that. This was especially interesting for me because I don't like that golden age of. Oh, wait, no. I like the latter half of the golden age. I don't like the first part of the golden age of Pixar. At all. I think I've said that before, but I liked this one. I like the kind of clock that the movie gets put on as Buzz and the Fellowship of Toys gets moving towards Woody. And
Fellowship of the Things.
Fellowship of the Things.
But you're right, they do call back with the and
The thing is,
It's not bad. None of it's bad.
I was saying
No,
it's,
none of it's
it's
bad.
a sequel,
But-
so I feel like
now that I'm thinking about it, with the whole row of Buzz Lightyear toys, is a toy really relevant for that long? Because that's got to be at least a year or two.
Yeah.
toys used to be relevant for that long. They really did. I feel like we've now kind of I feel like that shift was maybe 5 or 10 years ago when they started just pumping out toys with each new movie, and I feel like just the focus on toys is shorter now. Or I feel like back then, I feel like everybody had the same toys for an extended period of time. At least that's what I kind of remember when I was a kid.
I think that's because you were a kid and felt that way.
Yeah,
That's very, very
just
true.
watch like Big and how many toys they run through
That
for that company.
fair.
It's like that's the late '80s.
That is fair.
It's
That is
always
fair.
kind of been they just keep pushing it out.
Mhm.
It's just how our perspectives. Here's something I just thought of: the only Toy Story movie that doesn't rely on Buzz or some kind of version of Buzz, like being set back to factory setting, is the fourth one.
That is the one that
Huh.
I'm not sure why that was.
That's interesting.
I'm okay with the choice because it's kind of funny.
It's
It's
honestly
fun.
hilarious.
It lasts a long time, and what does it amount to? Because
It amounts to us finding out that Zurg is Buzz's father.
yeah, that was funny.
That was really fun.
It's an overdone joke now, but at the time, that's really
And then
funny.
Well, and I don't
catch with the ball.
If I get to the ball and I will remember, this is one of maybe my favorite jokes throughout the entire movie was like, I'm going to play, he's not going to let go, he's not going to let go, he's going to let go.
He would. One, he would.
He would.
No.
He would.
He would.
My favorite is, Buzz, how are we going to get through there? Use your head.
I don't want to use my head. That was in the trailers. I remember that trailer in it.
Tom Hanks, Tim Allen, Toy Story 2, running like the wind, bullseye, and he falls off.
Yeah.
I remember but I was just thinking about that whole part of the story. It's like, so he runs into the Buzz with the new belt thing, and there's the whole switcheroo, and then that just plays out, and it doesn't really affect when they find Woody all that much, and then everything on the elevator doesn't really affect them trying to save
It's
Woody.
kind of a pointless,
Side
subplot
plot. Yeah,
thing.
because then before the airport finale, they're out of the movie. It's not too, but it's fun.
yeah.
Because I remember thinking like, oh yeah, they're not really adding that much
I
other than
think
some laughs.
I think
That's
it's
fair.
because there wasn't. If they would have left the real Buzz in there, there wouldn't have been that much comedy. Because it's a pretty serious movie comparatively.
It really, like, this is a dark and, like, very
So I
serious.
think they needed to give it some levity to make it approachable. The other thing that I noticed, well, not that I noticed, but that like I was just thinking about as I was watching this as a 35-year-old man, the idea of legacy in this movie is really interesting in the way that Woody approaches it versus the way that the prospector approaches it.
Yeah, really, everything about
And I don't know if legacy is a part. I don't remember Toy Story 4 that much. Legacy is not really a part of that.
that one.
Toy Story 4 is more about like thinking about your own well-being, because it's his story, Woody's story again in that fourth one where it's you've spent your whole life dedicated to being there for someone else because that one time you had a chance at choosing your own happiness and you didn't take it.
I also want to point out that based on the merchandise that was presented in that room and based on the television show and based on the time I think it is, Woody's about 50 years old.
Yeah,
I would not,
in Toy Story 2 is 50 years old.
maybe
yes.
40,
Yeah.
because they said Sputnik changed everything, so that was like the early 50s.
Sputnik,
yeah.
And this is the mid to late 90s when the film takes place. So.
That is interesting. I never put that together. How old he was.
But like, my parents would have never let me.
Did you look at the TV show?
Okay, I did, but I always thought about that's not this Woody. That was just like another doll, which I know that's a weird way to think about, but it's a toy, so it's kind of how that works.
I mean, but he would have.
Like that's not the Woody that we know.
One, the Woody in the show is a marionette doll.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
This Woody is not.
right, this Woody is
This
the toy
Woody is
based on.
clearly a
Right.
toy.
Yes.
But it would have been made around the time that the show was being made, though. So,
Yeah.
like I said, they
that's
don't
true.
manufacture toys for that long after their intended purposes.
And to be valuable, he has to be either super rare
That
or super old. Or both.
That's a very good
The
point.
other thing, though, is I was thinking, like, so Woody's this old, and Andy is his kid. But then I'm thinking, like, and his mom has a line about old family toy to Al at the beginning when she wouldn't sell it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
how many other kids has Woody had? Has he not gone through this before? Like, we're thinking too hard about this, yes, but interesting.
I just always figured, well, I didn't always figure, but watching this, I just figured Woody was like his dad's toy or something like that.
Which I guess
So
kind
hasn't
of
he gone
makes-
through the cycle before?
Maybe, I don't know, maybe.
That's interesting.
I know that
never
my
thought
parents
about
would
that.
never have let me play with a toy that was that old when I was Andy's age.
I mean,
Not without like
say-
supervision.
Well, I think it's only just because just from my parents, like I feel like they always just bought me just whatever like cool new toy was out, and so like.
Wow, this
I
guy
also-
can afford
I think
all the
that-
cool new toys.
Oh my
I played with
God.
rubber bands in the backyard.
Hey, to be fair, I also played in the backyard just digging a hole for a long period of time. That was very fun.
I also think that you're a little bit more destructive than we were, Dickey.
I can see. Well,
Maybe
yeah,
not Jared,
yeah.
but
Destructive and just chaotic with my toys and the way that I play with
you're
stuff.
still just chaotic with your
That is absolutely accurate. I absolutely am.
I would tie my action figures with string to their like ankle, and I'd throw them off the stairs and like hold them and swing them around like they were bungee jumping.
Are you a psychopath?
That doesn't sound that weird. I would do the same
Your
thing.
name's-
We're not talking about you.
Yeah,
My name said, no, I don't blow them up because then I have toys gone.
you don't want to get rid of your toys, obviously. You want to keep them around.
I also remembered that Jessie is my absolute favorite character from the Toy Story franchises.
Oh my God.
I think that she gets underutilized in the
Other two,
other two movies.
whereas the fourth
Well,
movie
other
makes
three
sense.
movies, but
Yeah, I was gonna say,
not in the first one. So
whereas the fourth one makes sense because the older characters aren't in it that much, and that's fine. That third one, she kind of, the one thing she does is be one of the people that just like doesn't believe Woody. That's her whole
That's-
point
I
of the
remember
third one.
Everything that she did in the third one, yes, you're right. She
That's
didn't
it.
have that much to do. Where
It
this one is
was
just,
it was a funny joke of we were wrong. We were wrong, Woody. I was wrong, and Potato goes, "She's right, Woody. Jessie was wrong," or something like that.
yeah. Which is you brought Potato Head. I have to mention this because for the longest time when I was a kid, okay, and I could barely like make out what they were saying like in the movie, like I always just like. Do you remember when they were driving down the Barbie aisle, okay, and you have Potato Head and he's looking at the Barbie like, "I'm a married spud. I'm a married spud." I always just thought it was, "I'm a married spud. I'm a married spud." And I'm like, I know it makes no sense, but that's what I
on
thought.
the side of a mountaintop.
There's so many parts of the movie that I know what is being like what the sound is, but then when you turn the subtitles on, because Slinky says something like, "Oh, what is it?" It's like, "Golly Bob Howdy," and I had no idea as a kid what he was because it's "Golly Bob Howdy" like that. And it's like okay.
I don't know why.
Jim Varney's last roles, I think, before he died.
Was it really?
Yeah, you know who Jim Varney is, right?
His name sounds
He's
familiar.
Ernest.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he
He's
was Ernest.
Slinky.
Yeah, he was Slinky. So, but whenever he said that, it's like what? So subtitles help. I think we mentioned that.
Yeah,
in the first Toy
honestly,
Story. It's like,
so-
so that's what they said.
So you could catch all the like.
Potato
side-
Head is also much nicer in this movie.
Yeah, he's not quite as
He's a
savage.
jerk in that first movie. This one, he's well, that's what
A
what
little
happened.
tempered.
Yeah. Well, he's married now.
That'll do it. That'll do it.
That's it.
Okay, there's one part of this movie. Everyone always laughed really hard, and I believe I got it, but it never made me laugh. It's the gum getting stuck to the big.
Oh yeah, to the giant thing. Yeah, it's
Everyone,
hilarious.
why do people laugh?
I don't know, because I laugh a little bit, and then it's also stressful because it's rolling to that. And I'm like, ah.
I always think that it's going to do an Aladdin thing where there's going to be a hole in it. And
And then
never
it just
does.
kinda-
But why are people laughing? Because Potato gets stuck on the gum, the thing's rolling towards him, he gets his foot off, out of the way in time, the gum just sticks to the thing. And my parents and everyone around me would always die laughing. And this time I'm like, yeah, people laugh
I think
at
it's
this.
like
I'm trying to
it's
figure
one of
out
those
why.
jokes where it's like macro or macro, except in reverse. Such an insignificant thing is such a hard struggle for him, and then it just
Well, I also think
Okay.
it's also like a breath of fresh air, kind of like after he was so close to getting trampled, it's like.
It wasn't that for what they were laughing at. It's like
No.
the gum got stuck and pulled it. We go, ha 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 ha! Like I'm going. I'm laughing.
I did think though, like them causing all those accidents, like all the cars just piling up, that was hilarious.
Comes back in a line from Al later because it takes him forever to get back, and he
Yeah.
says,
Yeah, you're right!
And he's like, yeah, there's big pileups or something like that. I go, that's right. It's
You're
right
totally-
outside.
Yeah, you're right. That is such a like. Oh, that's
And as a
smart.
kid, I always thought the light falling after they caused the pile up was just
yeah.
random, but then you hear the thing rolls off screen, you hear boom, boom. So it's like that knocked it over, and this time, like, oh, that makes way more sense.
That's how it all worked out. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just a lot to laugh at that is not connected to the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
I think you're right. Some of the key funny parts from the first movie are really heavy-handedly, like the "You Are a Toy."
You Are a Toy is brought back. The shot of Buzz looking up at Buzz is a nice callback, but they kept calling because then the LGMs come back. Funny. The LGMs. Remember, they're hanging in the pizza truck. The little green men. Is what
Little Green. Okay, thank you. I didn't know. When you said LGM, I wasn't sure what
you
that
don't
was.
know Toy Story lore? I thought you were a lore guy.
I do like lore, but I didn't know they were ever referred to as LGMs.
Didn't you watch the Buzz Lightyear Star Command show? I think that's what they
Yeah.
call them.
Really?
In the first of the movie
To be
pilot.
fair, it has been a very long time since I watched that.
And
But
it's not on Disney Plus, so we get what we get.
I know, which is again an absolute tragedy.
Yeah.
They really need to put that on there
It
because
is-
I would watch it again in a
It
heartbeat.
is a tragedy when shows we want to watch are not on streaming services.
Like the Weekenders. I want the Weekenders on Disney Plus. Someone liked my tweet from 2 years ago complaining about that.
That's
It's
such
been
a
2 years.
They just recently liked it.
Yeah, like out of the blue, it's like, yeah, that's right. Weekender. Wayne Brady saying we're living for the weekend. Why can't we live for the weekend on Disney Plus?
That's such a random deep cut. I forgot.
Sorry. Anyway, Toy Story 2. This is the movie for kids animation that I think started the twist villain. It didn't catch on until later in the 2000s.
This doesn't twist villain.
But this is right.
Yeah,
this started.
Like, you understand his motivation.
Yeah,
It's
this
not
isn't bad. No, this
stupid.
is good. This is a great villain. I'm
Do you
saying this is what started.
consider
We
it
can
a-
blame this movie for starting because this did it well, and no one else that really does.
Is that considered a twist villain? Or?
Yes,
Yeah.
because we don't know he's a villain until the third act of the movie when
I
he
mean,
reveals that he has been behind that. He's
I
been
mean,
sabotaging Woody.
He has been, but like it's also partially Al. Like Al is one who obviously stole him. Like there's
You can have more than one villain.
Yeah. Well, that's
he
what I
is
was
the
saying,
twist
yeah.
villain because Al is the villain. Is one of the villains.
Mm-hmm.
The prospector is literally a twist villain.
Okay, I just didn't know if I would consider him like a
But it
twist.
makes sense though.
It does.
Because that line delivery, fair, I'll tell you what's fair. Spending a lifetime on a dime shelf watching every other toy be sold. You know, that whole thing is...
Yeah.
Kelsey Grammer is always good at voice
Kelsey
acting.
Grammer's
But
fantastic.
and I really hope that's him doing the prospector voice on the old show. I had to keep playing it back. I'm like, is that Kelsey Grammer putting on a funny, like, old-timey voice? I hope it is.
It probably would be. Why wouldn't they?
I know, I
again?
think that's him.
Yeah.
But when he delivers that line, and I'm like, I get it. Why I think he's never been opened. No one ever bought him. Of course he's upset.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I would be upset too if nobody opened. No, that's a weird sentence. I'm not gonna say that. Nobody opened me, but yeah.
Toy Story 2.
So that's where the legacy thing comes to, where he never got satisfaction out of that. Because again, if they're like 40 years old, 40 years of
But it's
no one
interesting-
ever owning him.
It's interesting how it plays in Woody's eyes versus in his eyes.
Yeah. How they both reach that decision point and they both go separate directions. So.
And I think that works better than later twist villains, because later twist villains seem to move within the plot. Like, we see them a lot. Like,
Twist villains aren't a bad thing overall. It's been used so much and so bad. This is great. This is where it starts.
Yeah, because like he's in a box and you don't think for the entire movie that he would leave it. Like, why would he leave it?
Yeah, well, you're not thinking about him as a villain.
Until he leaves it.
Yep.
Yeah. Once they see him pop out, it's like, oh, wait a second.
I will say, what's the collector guy's name?
Al.
Al?
What's his last name?
McWiggin.
I don't know why I've never picked
I
up his
will
last
say
name before.
that initial scene where he finds Woody and he's like assessing him,
Mm-hmm.
I related to that much harder now than I did. When
It's a vintage toy. Oh my god!
In that moment, I'm like, how many
Collector's item.
times have I been somewhere, you know, like going to places that have used media, and you find something that, not that it's super rare, but it's like something you don't see, and it's like, oh my gosh.
That's so cool. I gotta have it.
So you have that same feeling of, that's me. And then he's like, I'll give you $50 for it. And I go, of course, he's getting like 6 figures.
I was going to say, he's about to make a crap load.
You're much cheaper than that. What are you talking about?
And right after Mr. Taylor, I go, $50 ain't bad.
Yeah! that was a really good line in there. And I remember LA, I always just felt really uncomfortable when they were trying to steal
chicken soup.
that.
Big buck.
That and I was gonna say when they were trying to steal back Woody's something, and Al had his hand covered in like Cheeto dust.
But don't forget his.
It was his arm.
It's the burp. It's not even like
a normal burp. It was a burp.
It's the deep burp. Everyone's done it.
And then the Cheeto dust comes out of his mouth.
Yeah,
you're ready for it. It's the size.
And then something really weird happens.
Me.
What's the horse's name?
Bullseye.
Bullseye licks him.
Because it's Cheeto dust.
But Bullseye's a toy. It's not like thinking about it too hard.
Got it. I was just thinking, like, also, because I was thinking about all the different characters, and then you have Bo Peep, who also does nothing in this movie.
Yeah, Bo Peep did kind
and
of.
it's just funny because she doesn't have to be a main part of the plot, but she kind of does the same thing as the first movie, and it doesn't really mean anything unless the fourth movie exists, where you go, yeah, she kind of didn't really do anything. I just thought of that randomly, like, oh yeah.
Yeah,
the fourth movie really changes the perspective on this in a good way, I guess.
I tried to. Because the fourth movie showed the flashbacks, right? And that happened,
just the one.
And that happened
At the
between
beginning,
1 and 2. I'm trying to remember when that.
That might be the first house, isn't it? I think
I don't remember for much at all.
There was a flashback.
No, it has to be the second house. Because Bo's at the second house, but remember, she's not there in 3. She's gone by it, so it's the second house. It's between 2 and 3.
Okay.
At some point, yeah. Which is a great way to open
connect
the dots. That's the fourth movie. I just wanted to bring up, like, oh yeah, watching these first two, it's a whole different perspective on Bo Peep as a character.
Yeah, see, I kind of, would you say shelved?
Sharktail?
That joke was a bit cheapish.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
Moving on.
Well, we have to bring up that song. God. When She Loved Me. Written by Randy Newman, nominated for the Oscars. It was sung by Sarah McLachlan.
Of course.
So that's why I was feeling sad.
Of course it was Sarah McLachlan. Oh my God.
I remember reading or watching something. It might have been that documentary, the Pixar story, where they talk about, like, I don't know if it was going to be cut from the movie, but like it's effective when for 3 minutes of this children's movie, both the adults and children are crying.
Yeah.
Like, and it's very, I think what helps it is it's very somber.
Oh my God.
It's weepy sad, but it's not like in your face. It's just very soft.
It's just,
music. It's just soft sounding.
It just ties you to your absolute core. Like, that scene will just forever just, but you're right though. It doesn't put a pit in my stomach. It just makes me feel.
Like that. It's just that slow progression of like,
oh.
We start breathing heavier.
Yeah. Like,
did you cry this time?
I cry every time.
Did you cry? I didn't either. Baby.
I cry all the time, and you know that.
It is the part though. If you're gonna cry during any part of this franchise, that's the time. That or the end of 3 are probably the two.
Dude, the end of 3.
Let's not talk about 3 in the episode for 2.
I think that's all good. It's hard when you have a franchise that intermixes like that so much. So.
Yeah.
But that song works so well. It's at the perfect point of the movie.
It is.
The movie was working well, but once that scene hit and I knew it was coming, I was like, oh, that's right. This is good. And his decision to not go makes sense at that point because he's questioning his own situation of like, and it's because of getting, damaged.
Exactly. Like it's really like
that mortality part.
Yeah, I was gonna say that whole mortality. Like, actually, this is really existential. It's a kids' movie. Like it gets like it's asking you.
Yeah, the whole thing of like, well, it is funny because Prospector says like, do you think Andy's going to take you to college with you or on his honeymoon? And in my head, I go, actually, he was going to go to college with him. he was
going to bring him.
Yeah. Andy has to choose, and he throws Buzz into the box and takes Woody. I go, yeah. So Woody is going to college
was
with
right.
him.
He was absolutely
But
right.
when he brings that up, it's like the first movie doesn't need to bring those up because it's the first movie. It's simpler. And then this one, it's asking that question of like, this is going to end one day, and it's going to be sad. So why not go somewhere where that's not going to happen? But then the other side of the argument is, but then you're not loved. You're just sitting behind glass.
Like, holy crap! Like, what is Pixar over here? Like, asking kids these like deep questions. Like, oh my god!
I thought about that this time too. Like, I never thought about it, but they would literally just be sitting behind glass. Like, they wouldn't be able to lift up that glass and get out, and there wouldn't really be a door for them to get out.
No, it would just be on display.
But that's got to be better than being in storage as well. That's the other side of it. Are we thinking too hard about this?
No, like they pose these questions to us as we're watching it. Like that's why I stand by. I said before, I will say it again. This is the best movie they've ever made, and I know what your favorite is. I don't remember what you said your favorite Pixar is.
I don't think I said a favorite.
Okay, but I just think like
I don't think that he's gonna fight for his favorite to be the best.
No, I haven't outnumbered on that. But it's just like silence. I can die holding on to the thing that is most important to me.
Absolutely.
And no, I'm right.
Which, in case anybody, let's share that what Jared's favorite pick is. It is Ratatouille.
Yeah.
But I just think when you can ask like those deep existential questions, and then all of a sudden go to a scene with. This wasn't right after, but it was kind of close, where you use a toy dinosaur as a battering ram. The fact that you can bounce from one scene to the other in the same movie, and that's just incredibly impressive to me that they can manage that tone. I'm just shocked by how amazing it is.
There's another detail I paid attention to because when Woody's arm first rips and he's kind of picking it up like it's a dead limb, and I remember thinking like,
I don't know how that feels.
great. I watched it. The point being, from that first moment when he shelved, I go, I'm gonna pay attention to that arm until it gets fixed. Because I wonder if he's going to use it at all. Like, I wonder if they keep true to the detail. And they do. He doesn't use that arm at all until the one guy fixes it in one of the most satisfying things I've ever seen.
That scene! It makes me feel all the happy tinglies.
It's the two things that give me the most start when he's cleaning the eyes.
Yes!
And when he's spraying the back of the
Yes!
That's like,
oh my, like just so much happy tinglies. Like, that makes me feel good all over. And like, I hate when they that he paints over Andy, but also the brushstroke and the paint is just
that make you feel good at all. It's pretty satisfying.
It's so satisfying.
He did a really crappy job though, because then Woody himself scratches it off in like one.
That's very true.
Also, remember what he says, like, it's for display only. You mess with it too much, it's gonna rip or whatever he says. It's like, that makes sense.
And it does rip again
because Prospector rips it. Like, that's not a real. That's right. It's not that great of a fix. It's not supposed to be.
That is a detail that I noticed this watch too. When Andy fixes him at the end, he stuffed his bicep with more stuff. I never noticed that before.
Yep.
I missed that.
And Bo Peep's like, I kind of like it.
I do actually. I remember. Okay, I do remember the Bo Peep line. That's.
Yeah, she says it makes you look. I don't even say that word.
What word?
I don't know what it is.
I don't remember it.
How do I say that? Quaint. I'll say quaint. Makes you look quaint.
That's not what she said.
I know. I'm not saying the word.
What did she say?
I don't remember. It's in a show. Is it cute?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Is it really just cute?
I think
you made such a big deal out of
no,
that
it's
word?
tough. That's better. Woo! There, I can say it. Makes you look tough.
All the big muscles. Make him look like a tough man.
Shut up. Good. I thought it was that, but I guess it is tough. Good.
That makes
I
sense.
can say.
Also, when you mentioned putting him up on the shelf, that reminded me. Let's not forget the real king of this movie, Wheezy Baby. Oh my God, Wheezy.
Which I have a thing to say about that.
Yeah, it makes asthmatics feel bad. We don't always sound like that.
No, yeah.
And at the end when he says, Andy's mom found another squeaker.
No, she didn't. It was Mr. Shark.
Oh, Mr. Shark?
Found another squeaker.
Mr. Shark found it. I'm sorry, you cannot replace a squeaker in those toys. it doesn't work like that.
But he can sing so well.
Yeah, he can sing like Robert Goulet now.
Oh, that was
You got a friend in me.
You got a friend.
That's a question I had for you guys. How do you feel about the "You Got a Friend in Me" being
Used
inserted into the Woody canon?
Oh, because he sings it on the
Yeah,
show.
it's a physical part of the Toy Story world now.
That's true.
How do we feel about that?
I don't
I didn't mind
I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
It works really well in that moment because Buzz can hear it in the air vent.
Yeah, I guess
Yeah,
it's really interesting that they made it like that. I mean, I like it because it's a good song, obviously. So like, I like hearing the song when he sings it. It's like, okay, sure, why not? I just love the Wheezy version at the end where he breaks out and just goes hard.
Yeah. And then, of course, the outtakes.
So
Can Pixar get back to animating outtakes? Let's make a poll. Let's make a GoFundMe. This needs to happen.
We're not giving
them
them money.
No, we're gonna take people's money, then we're gonna go like egg the Pixar place or whatever.
I don't want to end up in jail.
I want them.
So your whole plan is we need to make them do this thing that we want. So what do we do? Let's go vandalize their property.
And we're gonna keep doing it until they make more Pixar.
They're going to arrest us.
They'll never know it's us.
I can't run that fast to get away, Dickey.
But I want Pixar bloopers back. I
have a question because I don't know. Are those like actual bloopers from the line reader, from the voice actors?
That's a really good
I
thing.
think they're scripted.
They are scripted?
Okay.
Probably, yeah, because they have to animate that.
Well, that's why I didn't know.
Because a lot of them are
because, like,
visual, too.
Because like
that's fair for the visual one.
Because like the one where Woody sits in the tape.
Yeah.
If that's just so much sound. It could have been Tom Hanks tripping on something.
I mean, that one was probably animated first, but I wonder if there are some of the ones where they literally just mess up their line and they say, let's animate this sequence to put it at the end.
I do like when Buzz's wings come out and says, "This space for rent."
Yeah.
Darn it, Woody!
Oh, like I said, those old, they made me so happy.
Never thought I'd see Kelsey Grammer react to a fart in the movie.
Yeah.
I'm so I guess that's why they call me Stinky Pete. Woo! I go, poor Kelsey Grammer. Then he probably turned away and like, I'm getting paid extra for this.
The two Buzz jokes I really love though, when he's fighting Zurg on the elevator, and the group over here is talking, and I don't remember exactly how.
But Buzz is in peril.
Buzz is in peril. Buzz, and then the one at the very end where Jesse jumps on the Hot Wheels.
That's when the week's
Yeah, that joke went over all of our heads when we were a kid.
It's different.
It is. No, you're right. It is a different sound effect.
Normal wing noise.
Like who greenlit that joke?
John Lasseter.
Oh no! Oh no!
I mean, he's the director.
He is the director. That's true. Oh boy! Wow, that aged. Oh!
That aged. Yes, it did.
That aged.
Do we have any other thoughts on Toy Story? I've hit all
That's a good note to go out on. Let's call it.
Yeah, do we have anything else?
I really love it. Like it's the one. Or did you say the Pixar Golden Age end of the Cars 2?
Toy Story 3 is what most people consider the end of it, because then Cars 2 is the start of that next.
Okay.
You're right.
Okay, so of the chunk before Up, this is the one that I liked. when it came out.
It's funny you say the chunk before Up when Up is the second to last one. It's literally Up and then Toy Story 3.
Yeah, it really is.
Chunk.
Oh,
So like the first
you
one.
really like the majority of it.
That chunk before Wall-E. I did not like Ratatouille when it came out.
When it came out, I liked it, and then the more I watch it, like, dang. And obviously,
I had a chance to see it in theaters, and instead I saw National Treasure 2, and I've regretted it ever since.
Wow.
Because I was 13, I'm like, oh, these are kids' movies. I'm going to go watch a movie on my own.
Oh, you're going to watch an adult movie.
Yeah, National Treasure Book of Secrets. And now it's like, why didn't I just go to Ratatouille?
That's
much
amazing. Yeah, I think
Any
that's...
other thoughts? Anybody?
That was good.
No?
That's everything I got.
Go out on the Pixar Boing joke.
Yeah.
Bring that
Yeah, Dickey, do this.
Right, of course. So thank you everybody for sticking through us. I don't need that. I can go off script. If you want to follow us and what we're staying up to, what we're doing between episodes, you can go ahead and follow us at Facebook, at Twitter, at Instagram, all in all Slate Media. You can go ahead and listen to us at Stitcher, on Google, on Apple, on Spotify. And don't forget to leave reviews, give us thumbs up and all that stuff. But if you really want to enjoy your free time.
So I just want to point out to everyone that we have him making fun of himself.
You guys have like, what's
That's
that?
meta.
I know.
I can do Deadpool. Wait, I can do
Peace. Our TikTok is funny. Bye.
Yes, watch our TikTok. Again, all in all Slate Media. We have fun.
Alrighty.
God.
Can you get it back together after that?
Our next episode will be covering Monsters Incorporated.
Mm.
One of the
Yes.
few movies I've seen multiple times during its theatrical run. That came out in 2001. I believe that became the highest grossing animated movie at the time. And then I think they kept breaking their record over and over.
Sounds about right for Pixar.
But that's next week.
Don't forget to stay tuned for that, yeah.
Are there really 3 in 20? Oh no, that says 23. Okay. I thought it said 2022, and I was like, "There's 3 this year." Oh my god.
No, 2023. That's next year. Anyway,
From all of us at Off Slate Media for the Dimlits series, we'll see you next week.
it's not that sad. It's not that sad.
She loved me.
It's not that sad. It's not that sad.
You're just gonna look sweaty. You just look sweaty. You're like Papa John on the Can you let out a good